In September 1982, something terrifying happened in the suburbs of Chicago. Healthy people were dying within hours, all after taking the same everyday painkiller. Parents, workers, and even a 12-year-old girl suddenly collapsed with no warning. Doctors were confused. Police had no suspects. Panic spread across the entire city as millions of Americans rushed to throw away their medicine. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't an accident. Someone had secretly opened bottles of extra-strength Tylenol, filled the capsules with deadly cyanide, and placed them back on store shelves. 7 innocent people were dead before anyone realized what was happening. What followed became one of the largest criminal investigations in American history, and more than 40 years later, the killer has still never been identified. The first victim was 12-year-old Mary Kellerman. She woke up that morning with what seemed like a simple cold. Her parents gave her 1 extra-strength Tylenol capsule before school. Within minutes, Mary collapsed on the bathroom floor. She was rushed to the hospital, but doctors couldn't save her. At first, everyone believed it was a tragic medical emergency. No one imagined an over-the-counter painkiller could be responsible. Just hours later, another healthy adult died after taking Tylenol. Then, another, and another. The deaths appeared completely unrelated, but investigators soon noticed one chilling connection. Every victim had taken extra-strength Tylenol shortly before collapsing. What looked like isolated tragedies was quickly becoming a nationwide nightmare. As investigators searched for answers, the death toll continued to rise. Fear spread faster than the news itself. Families opened their medicine cabinets and threw away every bottle of Tylenol they owned. Hospitals were overwhelmed with worried patients who had taken the medication only hours earlier. Police warned the public not to consume any Tylenol products until further notice. For the first time, Americans realized that danger wasn't hiding in dark alleys or abandoned buildings. It could be sitting inside their own homes. Every unopened bottle suddenly became a possible death sentence. Then laboratory tests revealed the horrifying truth. The capsules had been deliberately filled with cyanide after leaving the factory. Someone had placed them back onto store shelves, waiting for innocent people to buy them. The discovery changed everything. Investigators confirmed the poison had not entered the medication during manufacturing. The Tylenol bottles had been opened after they reached local stores, the capsules replaced with cyanide, and then carefully sealed again before being returned to the shelves. This meant the killer could have walked into any pharmacy, tampered with the bottles, and disappeared without leaving a trace. The FBI immediately joined the investigation, treating the case as a nationwide emergency. Detectives rushed to inspect stores across the Chicago area, collecting every Tylenol bottle they could find. Each new discovery raised the same terrifying question. How many poison bottles were still out there waiting for another victim? As the investigation intensified, Johnson & Johnson faced a decision that would change corporate history forever. Although investigators believed the poison had been added after the bottles left the factory, the company made an extraordinary choice. They immediately recalled more than 31 million bottles of Tylenol from stores across the United States. The recall cost the company over $100 million, but executives believed protecting people's lives mattered more than protecting profits. Television stations interrupted their regular programming to warn Americans not to take any Tylenol products. Within hours, pharmacies cleared their shelves, supermarkets removed every bottle they could find, and millions of families threw their medicine into the trash. fear had spread across the entire country. As evidence continued to pour in, investigators launched one of the largest criminal investigations in American history. Thousands of leads were examined, hundreds of witnesses were interviewed, and laboratories worked around the clock to trace the source of the poisoned capsules. Before long, police identified several possible suspects. One man, James William Lewis, quickly became the center of attention after sending a letter demanding $1 million to stop the killings. Detectives arrested him within days, believing they had finally found the person responsible. But as investigators dug deeper, the case took another unexpected turn. Although Lewis admitted writing the extortion letter, authorities found no evidence that he had actually poisoned the Tylenol bottles. Once again, the investigation was back where it started. Despite years of investigation, detectives were never able to prove who poisoned the Tylenol capsules. More than 400 people were interviewed, thousands of tips were investigated, and evidence was collected from pharmacies, factories, and laboratories across the country. Every promising lead eventually reached a dead end. Authorities believed the poison had most likely been placed into the bottles after they arrived at local stores, making the crime almost impossible to trace. Unlike most murder investigations, there was no crime scene, no eyewitnesses, and no reliable surveillance footage. The killer had left behind almost nothing. As months turned into years, one of the largest investigations in FBI history slowly became one of America's most frustrating unsolved mysteries. Although the killer was never identified, the Tylenol murders changed the pharmaceutical industry forever. Before 1982, most medicine bottles could be opened and resealed without anyone noticing. After the poisonings, everything changed. New federal regulations required manufacturers to introduce tamper-evident packaging, making it immediately obvious if a product had been opened. Plastic safety seals, protective foil, and security rings soon became standard on millions of products around the world. What began as a horrifying crime ultimately transformed consumer safety forever. Every time you open a bottle of medicine today and break a safety seal, you're seeing the direct result of the Tylenol murders more than 40 years ago. More than 4 decades have passed since the Tylenol murders, yet the identity of the killer remains unknown. Despite thousands of interviews, forensic examinations, and years of investigation, authorities never found enough evidence to charge anyone with the poisonings. Many investigators believe the person responsible acted quickly, chose random victims, and left almost no physical evidence behind. The poisoned bottles were purchased, opened, contaminated, and quietly returned to store shelves before anyone realized what was happening. Today, the case officially remains unsolved. The FBI still accepts information related to the investigation, hoping that one overlooked clue could finally reveal the truth behind one of America's most shocking unsolved crimes. More than 40 years have passed since the Chicago Tylenol murders, yet one question remains unanswered. Who poisoned the capsules that changed millions of lives forever? The official investigation closed without identifying the person responsible, but the impact of this case can still be seen today. Every safety seal, every tamper-evident package, and every warning label serves as a reminder of one of America's most disturbing unsolved crimes. Perhaps the truth disappeared with the person who carried out these attacks. Until new evidence is discovered, the mystery remains unsolved. What do you think really happened? Let us know your theory in the comments below. This is Nexsoris, exploring the world's greatest mysteries.